Scott is about.
Yep,
And
yep, yep.
you okay over there, Ruth? Yeah.
Yep.
Yo.
Distracted for a second, but I'm back.
You're gonna go first tonight with the weekend review. Yes,
Sure.
you all right with that?
Yeah, just give me about a minute. I'll come up with something.
I know, right?
Then Victoria, and then I will come in. I,
Mhm.
I don't have a lot on my plate for the weekend review. Um,
Um,
mostly book stuff. And there was one, oh yeah, class things. Okay, and Victoria
Hello, can I help you?
is your system working well
Yes.
since
All
you?
systems go?
Oh,
Yes. And I'm on that laptop. Everything's good. We won't even talk about that anymore. We're gonna let it
I
go.
just
Set it
wanted to
free.
make sure before we
I
got started.
appreciate I appreciate that. And the bubbles are still way over there. And my water thermos is way down here. So we're
Gotcha,
good.
gotcha. So you are in good shape, definitely,
Yes.
definitely.
Yes. I am
Oh,
welcoming our people on Facebook.
awesome. You always take good care of that, and we are glad about it. Glad about it.
All right, everybody, it is that time. So let me get
Wow,
out
All
of the way,
right.
that's
and
on
you
us
guys have a great
fast.
show.
Thanks, Al.
Roller.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to
Good
Authors
evening.
Up. Authors Up. Authors Up. We are so glad to have you in the house. We know that we've got some listeners who are coming in. We have a great guest who is going to be with us tonight.
Yes.
But how are my co-hosts doing? How are you, Ruth? You doing good tonight?
I am doing good tonight.
Awesome, awesome. What about you, Queen Victoria?
Queen Victoria is doing wonderful. I am feeling pretty good. Feeling good from my head to my shoes.
All right, now
That's good.
that's new. Hello there, Linda Cooks. Thank you for joining
Hi,
us.
Linda.
Glad to have you
Hey,
this evening.
Paula.
We see Miss Paula Obi is there.
Yeah, please like and
Very
share.
glad
Please
for
like and
Miss
share.
Paula's going to be sharing with us very soon, and we're
Yes.
about
So
that.
excited.
Almost at the end of her writing journey road. So we'll be hearing from Paula soon. She's a new attitude. You're talking about Miss Victoria. We never know. We never know what the
It's a
attitude
You know what?
surprise.
I don't know. I don't know either. It just
That's
comes
kind of
out.
scary. That's kind of scary. But we're going to start this evening like we usually do on Sunday night with our weekend review, kind of let you know what's been going on with us and from last Sunday to this Sunday. So we're going to start with Miss Ruth tonight. Ruth, what's been going on with you?
You know what? And I think I mentioned this earlier. It's funny. You come to that point after you've been sick where you have to actually think about it, and you're just like, "Oh, I didn't feel sick today." It's
Amen.
just that road in recovery.
Thank
So
you, God.
I've been feeling way better. Still have some pockets of tiredness and headaches, but I'm learning what drugs do work and don't work. So
Okay.
it,
Okay. Please
yeah,
share.
yeah,
Please like and share.
yeah. I'll put it in a message later. But
Okay.
no, it's just is getting back to is getting back to work. And just with the snow and everything, just been home and enjoying my house. So yeah,
Quiet
not
week.
too much to report. So
Right.
hopefully next week I do have do we remember when we did the NaNoWriMo, the National Novel Writing Contest. I finished my book then, so I'm going to start the editing
All
process
right. That is
next
good
week.
news. That is
Yeah,
good
so
news.
I'm excited about that. But yeah,
What's
that'll
your
be
target
next week.
for that coming out?
What's that?
What's your target for that coming out?
I don't know. I'm going to be doing this one a little differently. So
Okay. All
more
right.
news on that later.
Okay.
We
Well,
got to
yeah.
go through the editing process first, though.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
All right. That's
Hmm
interesting.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Well, I hope so because you two are going to be beta reading it. So
Well, that's
Oh, well,
intriguing.
yeah.
Look, that's intriguing. When she said a different way that she's going to do it, that's
yeah.
intriguing.
Yeah.
I don't know what other way to do it than what we've been doing it, but okay, I'm on
There's
board.
always another way. There is always another way. Now,
Right.
whether it works or not,
And I
that's the
trust you to show us the way.
question. Okay, good.
Oh, always. And you, Miss Victoria, what's going on in your world?
I don't think there was anything exciting or earth shattering other than work, getting back to work, kind of getting back into the swing of things too, from not feeling well. And I'm just grateful I made it each day, aside from the ice day,
Mhm.
But after that, we were in full swing and just batten down the hatches for this ice storm that we have. So we'll be home again tomorrow because my street is an ice skating rink. So I can't get out. So I'm not
Really?
even on a trip. Because I live on a back street. So these side
Okay.
streets, so school has already been canceled for tomorrow. And because they can't get down the side streets. And then I live on a particular street that doesn't have direct sunlight. So
Oh,
it's shade all the
yeah,
time.
that'll do it.
For you then.
Yeah. So I already called that. Well, I'll be working remotely from home. So, but I'm just grateful to God that we made it. Power didn't go out.
I know.
We had food. We were comfortable. We were warm. I did give a lot of thought to the homeless people and just kind of
Yeah.
prayed because it just bothered my heart for some reason this past week, thinking about how cold it went down into the teens. And I just remember laying in bed, Lord, just, protect those. Hope there was some people who were able to get to the shelters,
Mhm.
and just, so, but I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful to be here. We have our second guest of the year, and I'm just excited.
Well, I had a quiet week as well. Seems like all of us have been under the weather, and even though we were coming out with a clean bill of health, we definitely, at least for me, definitely was not in my strong place.
Right.
So I feel nearing the end of this week. Hey, Marsha Marcel, it's good to have you with us tonight. By the end of the week, I really began to feel like myself again. I still got a little bit of a raspiness in my throat, but I actually had some energy.
All right. Now that's good.
Felt like I could get up and do something, which was a good feeling after so long. So I managed to do that. I went to a wonderful workshop on yesterday, which is going to help me in a number of ways. I was really excited about that, and just getting the book ready for release. It was so funny because I called Ruth one day and I said, "Oh my God, Ruth, I didn't send out my graphic. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. And here it is, the 21st." And she said, "February." And the 21st of February. I thought, oh, getting a little ahead of myself.
A little, yes, but that's okay.
What's
That's
All right.
okay. You're
All
excited.
right, Bronze girl. All right, Bronze girl.
my
It's okay.
anxiety lessened a little bit. Then I was able to go on in AU style. So, but I am just like you two ladies. I'm just grateful. I am so grateful to be here. So grateful that in the midst of the storm, I did keep power, because most of the time, if anything happens, my power will go out and my house goes down. I mean, it gets cold really, really fast.
Wow.
I'm so glad that I didn't have that to contend with this time. But that's enough about us.
Yes.
You have a wonderful guest, and you can tell by Victoria's big smile that
Yes.
she's happy and excited to be able to tell you a little bit about our guest tonight. So tell us about our guest, Victoria.
I am ready. Mr. Richard A. Harris describes himself as a bit of a dreamer. He says, "On the one hand, I am a busy vascular surgeon to real people. On the other, a daydreamer and writer who fell in love with words a long time ago. Sounds like our person, right?
That's
Mhm.
right.
Richard lives in Sydney, Australia, and considers Sydney one of the most beautiful places on the planet. He is deeply appreciative of his surroundings, family, and friends. Since he lost his wonderful partner and mom of two gorgeous kids in early 2020 to breast cancer, Richard says grief has been part of the birth of these words in his book, Imagine. But they are written really just for love, hope, and fun. He is finding time to overcome the grief that accompanies losing a best friend and to find the strength to finish his second novel shortly, which will be another joyful journey into love, myth, history, and words.
Apart from surgery, Richard has been a musician, a backpacker, a poet, and a painter. Wow. He has managed to get a public hospital rebuilt that was literally falling into the ground,
Wow.
Hornsby Hospital. And in the surgical world, he has progressed from the old style, massive operations that he learned on to state of the art, minimally invasive, high tech treatment of patients with arterial and venous problems.
Richard said he set about writing Imagine and a second book on the Thursday and Friday of what had previously been a somewhat disorganized and frustrating week in the life of a surgeon. He loves his profession, but was yearning to set some dreams, some adventures, and some love down on paper. So Thursday became Imagine, and Friday became the second novel that will also be born shortly. After the short break, we will meet Richard and learn more about his writing journey, his book, Imagine, and perhaps peek into his second novel, which is on the way. So
Yeah.
hold on. Hi, Richard. Welcome.
Hi,
Welcome. Woohoo.
thanks, guys. Such a lovely welcome. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So, we have to
Great
talk
to-
about the fact that you are from Australia.
Yeah,
So, number one, it is what, 12 hours ahead of us. So you're just
Wow.
getting up,
yeah.
correct?
Well,
Or,
Monday, I've already been working. It's like nearly 11 a.m.
oh,
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 So
oh,
wow.
okay.
I've
So
already,
you are actually on the other side of Australia. You're on Sydney.
Sydney, yeah. So
Okay,
I'm
so
closest to America,
yes.
but still a
Okay.
long way away.
Yeah. Okay. So I have to ask because we've had a couple other authors who are from Australia. They were transplants who just happened to be visiting,
Yeah,
ended up staying. They
yeah.
said it was the most beautiful country on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's well worth a visit down here. It's very different from America. I
Mhm.
managed to sneak over to California a few weeks ago just because I needed to get out of Australia. You know how we get so stuck with
Yeah.
this plague, and Australia's been so isolated. We've not been allowed to do anything. So it was
Mhm.
wonderful just to go over and just see things from the other side. So that was good to be back in the US.
Okay.
US is an amazing place.
Well,
But
thank you.
Australia is pretty good too, and it's very different. Very different.
Wow.
Well, that is interesting because we obviously we love where we live, but I think it would be amazing to visit
Me too.
Yes.
somewhere
Yes.
like that. So,
Yeah.
let's get started with your book. I went on Amazon and I read one of the reviews. It said that you had dedicated your life to healing people, and it takes more than one book to heal this entire world, but it is sure a good place to start. Your book. So. They said that it was highly recommended for those of us who dare to dream. So tell us in your own words, tell us about your book, what it is, what you set out to write.
So it's based on the song Imagine by John Lennon and Yoko Ono. Yoko got credited with the song about 5 years ago. And apparently she had an enormous influence on the lyrics and and some of the musicality of it as well. But it's always been one of my favorite songs. It's a beautiful message of hope. It's very radical. It's a message of radical love, really. Some of the sentiments in it are very controversial as well. But I think in general, it's about tolerance. It's about togetherness. It's about love. And I kind of don't, I'm not even sure the exact moment that I got the inspiration to turn that song into a novel, but I did somewhere along the line. But I've always loved it, and so yeah. How do you go about turning that song into a novel? It's got these amazing choruses and verse. Apart from the lyrics, it's got these beautiful harmonies and beautiful parts to the song that come in and out. And I think that kind of reminded me of waves and oceans. And so I kind of figured a way to turn the world into my idea of John Lennon's Imagine by creating this, I guess, an artificial way, a technology that gets invented to change everybody. And on this certain day, this technology gets deployed around the world and everybody changes and becomes sensible and intelligent and rational. And we all get to make decisions for everybody in the world. So it's a story that weaves a whole bunch of love stories and political manifestos, and everything's sort of mixed up and hidden within a series of stories that come in and out of each other. So it's got threads, and it's just like a song's got chorus and verse. It has these threads that come in, and yeah, basically it's taking all the trouble spots in the world that I could find.
Right.
There's a few in America. There's a few chapters on America.
Yeah.
There's one chapter on Australia. Australia deserves some improvement, but yeah, I picked on America a little bit. But then you've got
right. We deserve it.
Yeah, a little bit. Middle East, South Africa. I mean, there's so many different ways. If you imagine a world of love and harmony where you could suddenly change. So you have a day called Imagine Day, and then from then on, the world becomes a little bit more wonderful, I guess. So that's the basic premise of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it was an amazing joy to write. It was just nice to get away from the frustration of not being able to write for so long, and then figuring out how to fit into my crazy life as a surgeon, how to get the time. But as I gave a talk the other day to a bunch of beautiful older people, one of the people in the audience had written 102 books, and she published, all published, and she came and she kind of was lovely, but she said, "You're just a babe in the woods." You're a babe. And it's so true. There's how much is there to learn about this amazing thing, this craft of writing, and this world of books, and how you go about writing a good book, and how you go about selling a good book or marketing. I mean, it's just that's an incredibly difficult thing as well. Yeah. 2 million books put out in the world a year. So
right.
There's a little bit of competition out there, and there's some amazing writers out, all over the place. And where do you start? Like, how do you even come to start reading all the best books that you could to get that into your brain and enjoy that? Because it's such a beautiful thing, isn't it? Reading. It's just
it is. It is. It is. And I have to say, even as I was reading your book, it reminded me of another Australian book that I read as a kid. And it's a strange analogy, because the book is On the Beach by Neville Shute. Yeah. And that is a book set at the end of the world. It was written in the 1950s, right after, what would have been World War III, nuclear holocaust and all of that. And it was just, I won't say the tone was not the same, obviously, because that obviously is more depressing. But it was the world on the verge of something new,
Yeah.
and that was what that's what I was reminded of as I read your book. But it had hope in the end. It
Yeah.
had hope throughout. Human nature is human nature. So you had, even at one point, one of your characters said, "Do you think that the world will ever be ready to turn the
Right.
harmonics off?" And the
Yeah.
answer was probably not. But it's just there was hope still throughout. So
Mm.
I enjoyed the book, and I enjoyed the message that you had in the book,
Thanks.
especially.
Thank
So,
you.
so let me ask you: Do you now you describe yourself as a writer? Did you journal? Ever think about writing a book? Was there something else, or this just happened, or
Yeah, I think
how?
yeah, a little bit like Andrea. I think poetry and always writing
Mhm.
my whole life.
Mm.
Um, I've got this mad compulsion to express myself all the time in the written form. So I've got I somehow got hooked onto Twitter when it first started, and
Mhm.
then I've kind of built up this mad audience of 40,000 people.
Okay.
Well, not that everyone follows it. It's not it's not. I think what is it, 1 or 2% of people ever look at what you write there, but yeah, that just even that little short form of expression, it's like micro
Mhm.
blogging, I think
Yeah.
you'd call it. But that kind of thing, I've just had to have got things out always. I've journaled, I've written hundreds and hundreds of poems, and written 70 songs. It's just something that I've always had a go at, and just had to do. So
Uh-huh.
it's been a thing there since I was a little kid. Just
Right.
loved English, love reading. I think I did read so much as a kid, and then you kind of go through phases where if you're doing medicine, it's such a technical thing for a few years. You're just reading stupid textbooks and this dryness. It's horrible. And to try and maintain creativity and maintain your other interests is such an important thing to do when you're doing
Mhm.
something like surgery or medicine. It's because it can be so all-consuming and just take you over. But yeah,
Right.
I've hung on to it. I've hung on to playing a guitar and hung on to trying to be creative, and always wanted to get that bigger body of work out.
Mhm.
It just and I'd love to do it full time. And I'm taking 2 months off to finish off this second novel later this year, and that'll be my test at the ripe old age of 58 to try and figure out, have I got the guts to just write all the time?
Wow.
But I probably should just do it. But I am doing it in the sense that I'm taking 2.5 months off, and because I found since my wife died in the last 18 months, it's been very hard, and
Mhm.
to get my head around. I think with the COVID and the pandemic and everything else, to get you, I don't know how you guys focus, and I know there are some amazing support groups where you aim to do a certain number of words a day and this sort of thing. I've just really struggled to be honest. And
Mhm.
if you guys have got any advice there, like how it's not a writer's block, because I know exactly. I've written 90% of this second novel, and
Right.
I
Oh,
know
wow.
exactly how it ends, and how it all goes
Mhm.
together. But it's the getting the sitting down for 8 hours and doing the research and doing the tapping away, and it's such a wonderful feeling when you do it. I just love it. Love it.
You are passionate about writing. I love it.
Oh, absolutely, and maybe break up the 8 hours, because I think that would drive anybody crazy. Um,
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
for me personally, I have to get up, like, every 20 minutes or so, and it's just like,
Mhm.
"Okay, maybe go do something else, maybe go do laundry or something," but,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, if you're 90% of the way there, you've just about done it, so
Yeah.
congratulations, and I hope that you will come back and visit us once you got it done,
I'd
because
love to.
I
Yes.
believe I read that it's gonna be historical romance? Is that right?
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah.
Oh,
That's right.
wow.
Oh,
That's right.
wow.
We're coming back into the 11th century, which is a wonderful century to write into, because there's a lot known about it. There's a
Uh-huh.
lot of history there. There's some written stuff. There's all sorts of interesting tapestries, and like the Bayeux tapestry that that
Right.
talks about the really important things that happened, in 1066. But not only in Europe, but there was things happening all over the place. The Moroccans were invading Spain, and they were bringing printing and paper into, which is how we read. Comes from these Chinese that were captured in the 800s by the Muslim marauders into China, having a war. They captured 3 guys. They taught the Muslims how to make paper. And then the paper eventually came up by the 1300s. It was quite popular in Europe, but it took a long time, from 800 to 1300 to get paper into Europe.
Wow.
Wow.
So we think we're ahead of the game, but we were 500 years behind.
Oh, wow. My goodness.
And here we are today making good use of that paper.
Right?
So, yeah.
That's right.
I know.
So it's a great time because you can throw in dragons and myths and Celtic princesses and all sorts of sacrifices at Stonehenge and fairies and goblins and things, but still within a vague notion of history. So
I like that. You've sold your first book here. So
That's it.
that is my genre. Yes.
oh, cool.
So awesome. All right, Andrea, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I do have a couple. I wanted to know, first of all, especially when you were talking about coming up with another book that is historically based and having to do the research so that it is authentic and it is exactly what you want it to be. How long did it take you to write Imagine?
Imagine's a contemporary book, so the research was much more readily available for that. So say I want to, I'm looking at the troubles in Mexico and trying to transform Mexico into a wonderful place. So I can research the education system in Mexico or the obesity pandemic or epidemic in Mexico because of the 100 Coca-Cola factories down there, and that's all sort of readily available. When it comes to the 11th century, you're getting into some real interpretations of history, and it's still a lot of stuff to get through. So if I want to work out what the weather's like in Spain in 1035 or 1056 in March, there's also funny ways of finding out about these things, but just even the landscape and you've got a group going through a landscape. I had the opportunity, there's an Italian part of this story where these Norman knights come down. This is the second novel, come down through Italy, and I had an opportunity of 5 days on my own to wander around Rome and with my chapter and walk the exact route of these guys coming into Rome and into the Forum, and it was so much fun. And then walk out along the Appian Way, which is this cobblestone road that's been there for 2,500 years.
Wow.
So it's incredible to actually walk the history as well. But that sort of research is a lot of fun. But Imagine was really good. You'd pick a problem like ghettos in South Africa. What are you going to do about that in an ideal world? How would you change that?
Right.
It's so much fun doing that research. So I'd spend the whole morning sitting in this beautiful space, Googling, and I'd have 2 computers, one with the text and one with all the sort of resources. And it was wonderful. It's just a good place to be. And I'd spend all morning researching, go for a lunch, go for a walk along the shore, and then come back and tap, tap, tap. And I was fine. That was a wonderful kind of mental space to be in. That I have to just recapture that though. I guess a lot of authors go through these phases where they can't. There's something missing, and I don't know if George Martin's going through this at the moment. He hasn't quite got that Game of Thrones episode.
He might be.
How about that?
Yeah.
Well, how would you, now that you have finished it, now that you've had an opportunity to go back and look at it, and you've had people who've commented on it, were there different countries that you would have chosen? Were you satisfied in terms of saying, yep, I got them. These are the ones I want to do. This is exactly where I want to be with this.
Yeah.
Were there other countries that you kind of look back and said, I could have chosen this one? You know,
Oh, yeah,
maybe that would have
yeah.
been a better one.
Yeah, I mean, you could pick for Imagine. I kind of picture that as a Netflix, and the second novel as a movie. You see,
Okay.
as we're talking about this last week, but yeah. So I think I need a good screenplay writer to take Imagine and turn it into a bunch of episodes. But it's
Definitely.
yeah, but
Could be.
yeah. I mean, you could endlessly look at the world and its
Mhm.
problems and apply John Lennon's radical love to everything, because there's just so many issues. I went down to Alabama, and that was fun. It was I released 95% of the people from the jails down there, and
Wow.
so once you got the harmonics happening and everybody is tolerant of everyone else and
Yeah.
not out to ruin everybody else, and there was sort of really easy things to do, and it was a lot of fun figuring out how the world would look if we weren't so greedy and so selfish. And
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
Yes.
I want to veer away from Imagine for just a minute, only because I am a poet. So I'm interested in your poetic side. But do you have collections of poetry that are out there, or tell me a
No.
little bit about your poetry?
Yeah, I did a collection, but I should publish it. It's a nice little thing where it's sort of got one poem by myself and then one poem by my grandfather. So my grandfather was he was a pretty ordinary guy. He was like a merchant seaman, but he was a wonderful poet. My father's got no poetic ability at all, but he's a musician. He puts all his energy and creativity into music. But the poet thing kind of jumped a generation, but my grandfather was one of those sort of classic sort of English rhyming poets that was so romantic. He was so in love with his wife, just madly in love, and she died after a hysterectomy before antibiotics came out in, I think, about 1948. So she was about 40 something when she passed away. And but he was just a lovely, a natural, romantic poet about nature and about. Whereas mine's a bit more angsty. It's a bit more, like the sort of stuff that 19-year-old guys who think too much write about. But I also sort of come back to nature. I love writing about nature. Yeah, I think Twitter's kind of ruined my poetry a little bit, because you had that originally. You had 140 letters.
Right.
Now it's fine. You got 280 letters to write on. But yeah, but there was some beautiful. There is some gorgeous poetry in Twitter. There's a whole sort of group that puts a sort of, it's like a little magazine. You're publishing other people's beautiful the way they put words together. There's so many people that are so amazing, crafters of words. It's just incredible.
I wish I'd have known that before I quit Twitter, because the side I saw was totally different. So
You have to get back on Twitter then.
I will.
That's it. I wanted to just say, though, as I listened to you, Richard, making that leap, and it seems like such a leap from being a surgeon to listening to you talk about writing and imagery and history and all of these things with such passion. And it's always interesting to me, because some of us, I will say us, kind of fell into writing. I didn't set out to write a poem or set out to write a book or journal, any of those things. I kind of fell into it, and in falling into it, just began to realize the true power of words. And the thoughts that you can convey, and the things that you can find people in and find people through, the stories that you craft. But I hear something different in you. Because I hear the passion of
Mhm.
somebody who really wants to put words on paper in a way that make you want to dream, that make you want to imagine, what
Mm.
this could be like. And I applaud you for that. And I don't think you'll ever have writer's block. Ever, be in that place of saying, I wonder what I'm gonna do with this next chapter. I think that
Yeah.
you have you just have the passion to do that. And I just encourage you to take the time that you have talked about and see where
Yeah.
it leads you, because I wouldn't be at all surprised if the world had lost a surgeon and gained a writer in the process.
Mhm. Mhm.
I do applaud you for Imagine, and I look forward to the next book that you're going to put out there. And I do hope that you will come back and share it with us, because I think it's
Absolutely.
phenomenal when you
Thanks.
can do that and love what you do. That's
Mhm.
the thing,
Thanks.
to love what you do. So
Yeah.
yeah, I am excited about all of that coming to pass for you, Richard. I really am.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Victoria, I'm going to turn it to you.
Yeah, no, we're almost down with time, but I love your book. Um, I'm a Star Trekkie, and
Yeah.
so I love the science fiction of it,
Yeah.
aspect of it, that something could be created that would make everyone just be on one page. And I like the words that are in the book. After the harmonics, within a few weeks, the global democracy was taking shape. Almost everybody on the planet had access to the collective wisdom, and people were inventing systems to make the most of both cerebral knowledge and physical skills that people possessed. People put forward ideas and problems in terms of the organization of territories. Forums were created. Just like this global democracy and world peace
Mm.
is your imagination. It's just wonderful. And that's what,
Thank
to me,
you.
a good book of fiction. A good book like yours makes me see what I'm reading. And your
Mm.
book did that for me. As I was reading it, I could actually see these things. And your descriptions of the places that people were in. Each chapter, people are in different places, and
Right, right.
just to read those descriptions, I felt like I was walking into that mosque. I felt like I
Mm.
was taking my shoes off and going down the corridors and seeing the beautiful markings on the walls and things. You just take the reader with you on this book, and I just, it was wonderful. It was really a
Thank you.
good book. Listening to
Thanks, Vic.
you, you're welcome. Listening to you talk, you're very passionate, and I too agree that you got to keep writing. And I don't know if the surgeon, people need you in the surgeon world, because people have vascular problems, but you have made an impact on the writing world. And I tell our listeners, get the book. That's my tagline: get the book.
Get the book.
And I
Thanks
also
very
want
much.
to touch on, we read in your bio that you did lose your wife 2 years ago. And so we, as a collective authors, would like to extend our condolences to you. And
Thank
we
you.
certainly appreciate you being with us. And you just looking at you, I know that was a horrible thing for you. And I know that you're still going through the grief process, but you're sitting here and you're engaging with us, and you just look like you are so full of joy. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. And so you look like what it is to go through a circumstance like that. I'm a victory person. You look like what it looks like to go through and still be standing. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that as we
Thank you.
talk to you, that we know it was painful, and we know it's not easy, but we
Yeah.
appreciate you still standing and still pressing and going forward.
Thanks so much. It's beautiful. Thank you
You're
so much. I
welcome.
really
You're very
appreciate that.
welcome.
Yeah.
So I don't have any more questions. I just, or anything to say, but I just wanted them to get the book. So tell our listeners where they can get the book and how could they get in touch with you.
Yeah. I've got a website which is pretty good. It's got lots of stuff and ways to get the book, richardaharris.com. And I think, just Google Imagine a Novel, and you can find lots of places to get it. It's in on Amazon and books, Barnes and Noble and all those sort of places.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to get hold of. It's in Kindle and it's in audiobook, which I released last week, which was a lot of fun. I did the narration, which was fun.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's like 16 hours of speaking, but it was fun and it's kind of nice. I've read it a couple of times myself. I enjoy it too, Victoria. So,
Okay. Good.
yeah, so it does kind of take you to different parts of the world, and I just love traveling, and that was one of the things we made sure we did as a family was to see lots of the world, and we bonded together and took lots of holidays and time off. That's one of the things I put in Imagine, particularly for you guys in America who only have 3 weeks holiday a year. I made sure that the standard was at least 6 weeks.
I love that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love that part.
We appreciate that.
So it's good when you can just decide everything for the whole world. You know?
That's it. I was gonna say we put you in charge. I think you're off to a good start. You already have, everything laid out. We'll just give you the power and go from there.
Yeah.
Well, I love the book. I love the premise of it. Just imagine a world where there was just, everybody was intending to do good for the next person.
Yeah.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
Yeah. So, I mean, whether it's probably never going to, well, you don't never say never in science fiction, but, and I don't know about the ethics of just transforming everyone's brains overnight.
I know, right?
But
I guess
maybe
they
a
will.
metaphor. But maybe a metaphor for how we could potentially evolve, where we could see ourselves in 100 years. But yeah, I think you were talking about the way democracy is done in the book, where people become champions of ideas. So if you've got a great idea, if you're a fantastic blogger or author, you'd take an idea forward, and people would have access to it very readily, and then be able to bring that idea up and forwards.
Yes.
And if it was a great thing for the world, it would be adopted by the world.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And the corporate world, I like that part about the corporate world. No one would make $2,000 million and then somebody in the end making $5 a day.
That's right.
It would that disparity would just be eliminated, and that is that's mind blowing. It really is. What a concept! What a concept.
So basic wage of $150,000, and then you can only earn 5 times more than that if you're super clever. Super productive, you can earn 750,000, but you can't earn 13,000 times more than your labor.
I like that. I like that.
I think that's
man. I'm going to your place.
Yeah.
I'm going to this place.
We're on the train.
Right.
Well, we are just about at the end of our program tonight. Richard, we thank you. Thank you so much for sharing not just your time, but sharing yourself, because that's the interesting thing about writing. There's a piece of you that goes into every piece of work that you produce and that you put out there. So we thank you for sharing, Richard, with us tonight, as well as your book Imagine. It, as a dreamer and as a writer and poet and all of the things that you do, do you have any advice for our listeners who might also be dreamers out there?
Yeah, look, I was saying this the other day that when it comes to, say, exercise and sleep, I advise my patients, and then I don't take the advice. So
yeah, we're all guilty.
But when it comes to writing, I mean, it's obvious. For me, I need to find the motivation to sit down for that period of time and dedicate myself. And finding that willpower, like there's 4 things you need: space, time, and a good idea, and willpower.
Exactly.
So where do you get all that from, in one go? It's wonderful when it all comes together. So my advice is go for it. Just get it down, get it written, get a great editor. That's really important to find a good editor. Because I think no matter how good your ideas and words are, just have another person to have a look at it and to really go through it. And there's always 1,000 silly little errors in whatever you write. So I think that's an important part of it.
Tell me the 4 things again.
Time,
Yep.
space, a good idea, and willpower.
Yeah,
And
I like that.
Yep.
We'll be incorporating that myself.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you for those words of wisdom, Richard. Victoria or Ruth, do you have any closing comments for tonight?
No, I just want to remind our listeners to send us an email at authorsup@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. If you have any questions or if you want to be on the show, authorsup@gmail.com.
And all I can add to that is that Imagine might be fictional, but each of us can go about our days intending to do good. And so that's what I'm going to propose, that we incorporate in our each and everyday lives. Intend to do good, folks, and watch how things change around you.
Yes, that's wonderful.
Wonderful.
And Victoria, I was looking for your famous last words.
I
What
said, get the book already. Get the book, y'all. Get the book. Get the book. You will enjoy it, and your cheeks will be smiling just as much as mine are hurting. Get the book.
Well, that's it for us for tonight, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us and being a part of the Authors Up family. And we look forward to I think we have a guest next week. I'm not sure. So I would tell you who it is, but I'm not sure. So, so you'll just have to come back next week and see
Yes.
on tap and who it is that we're going to be speaking with and what their book is going to be all about. So again, thank you, listeners. Again, thank you, Richard, and thanks to two of the most wonderful co-hosts in the world.
Oh, we love you. Thank you, Bronze Girls. I call them my Bronze Girls.
So have a wonderful, wonderful week, and meet us back here next Sunday night at 7 p.m. for Authors Up. Good night, everybody.
Good night.